Okay, good morning everybody. Can you just close the door? Right, first things first, the tutorials this week. First group, I see you at 2 o'clock in the quad, remember? When you enter our building on the eastern side, you come in the front, the door there, it's the front door, and you turn right in the corridor, and as you walk down the corridor on your left, you'll see the quad area. It's an open courtyard area. Go through the kitchen area, I'll leave the door open, and then I'll meet you there for the tutorial outside. Okay, so when you enter this building, from the outside obviously, coming in, what do you see on that glass door? Have any of you ever bothered to stop and realize other than what you see on the screen?
Is it a map of the road?
He says it's a map of this part, yes, right? Any others? Have you ever stopped and wonder why is that map there? At the, yes?
Or there's the big bold letters that say Die Vlakte up there as well.
Yeah, on the sign, on the left at the bottom, it says Die Vlakte. So what is Die Vlakte? Mr. Polman was a resident of Die Vlakte in the 1960s. Before he was, he and the whole community was forcefully relocated due to the Group Areas Act. And he's here this morning to tell us about him and his life in Die Vlakte during that time, about the whole process of forced removal and so forth. Part of the decolonization of curriculum is for us, the students and lecturers, to learn and engage with people who have been dispossessed of, in his case, property in the past through forced removals. So he's going to be telling us about himself and the experiences in Die Vlakte, and then we're going to have a short 20-minute video that was made, when was that? What year was it?
2013 and 2015.
2013 and
2015.
2015, when the Van Ryneveld community, well, the whole Die Vlakte community had a reunion.
No, it was only the Van
Under
Ryneveld.
Van Ryneveld Street. So over to Mr. Polman. You're welcome to come here and stand here in front of the mic so that everyone can hear you, please. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Like Professor Donaldson just said, he asked me to come and share my experience and feelings about the forced removal of our people from our homes in the area known as Die Vlakte during the height of apartheid, an act commissioned by the Group Areas Act of 1950. Let me introduce myself. I am Frederick Peter Polman, better known as Toff or Toffee. I am 76 years young and was born as the fifth son of the late William, they call him Polly, and Frida Polman, who resided at 98 Van Ryneveld Street. We were 7 brothers and 1 sister, of which 3 brothers and my sister have already passed away. We stayed in the area which was called Die Vlakte, an area that spanned over 11 streets and was adjacent to the CBD. Every place of business was within walking distance. Die Vlakte was home to a cross-section of Stellenbosch community where race and creed never interfered with the daily lives of the people. The informal borders of the Vlakte ran from Crozier Street in the south to Merriman Avenue, then down to Bird Street. From there it stretched north to Borchard Street, up east to Andringa Street, north to Miller Street, south again to Banuk Road. Then it went up east in the Banuk Road up to Joubert Street and then south to Merriman Avenue. To do justice to the community who stay there, this short overview of the Vlakte will never suffice. The Vlakte will never suffice. The Vlakte wasn't just a neighborhood of a residential area. The characters and the communities living there were the essence of what the Vlakte was. If you didn't know, this is the names of the persons. Augustus, Whitey, Nango, or Davy Rammer, then surely you haven't been to the Vlakte. Sporting greats like David Martin, who sadly passed away on 27th of January 2019, was Western Province SA soccer captain and a professional player. His brother Ike Davidson, Stellenbosch, VP and professional soccer player. Ossie Woodman, he was my teacher at Lukov High School. VP and South Africa soccer captain. His brother-in-law, Ralph Big Ben Williams, Stellenbosch and VP soccer player. And then Chris Cavalli Lindwood, Stellenbosch VP and professional soccer player. And then Umar Henry, the first non-white player to be selected for South African cricket. He later went on to represent Scotland and was also induced into the Hall of Fame in Scotland in 2018. They were our heroes and could compete with the best in South Africa. We were raised in a diverse community, and the talent that came from the Vlakte was just as diverse. Alongside our sporting heroes, we also had our cultural icons. My brother Monty Polman, Henry Paulsen, and Klein Rammer are but a few of the people who entertain us with their unique talents on the cultural scene. The well-known areas in the Vlakte were the Rooijaard, the Malay Camp, the Commercie, and the Peyton Place. The community clinic, the Gaiety Bioscope, and the mosque were centrally situated in the area. Although the Group Areas Act came into law in 1950, it was only since 1964 that the forceful removals began in earnest. Some of the more affluent members of the community had already started moving to Ida's Valley, where they had built their own houses, while the less fortunate were forcibly removed to Clutisdal, later renamed Clutisville. Curtisdale was a farm that the Department of Community Development had acquired specifically to house colours. Obviously, the name of the department was a misnomer because it destroyed communities, not developed them. Die Vlakte was a tight-knit community, especially in Van Ryneveld Street, where I was born and raised. I grew up among some of the best mentors one could find in the areas of education, sport, culture, religion, and work ethics. Van Ryneveld Street was more than just a name. It was a vibrant community which celebrated everybody's successes and rallied around each other in times of sorrow and need. The saying, "It takes a village to raise a child," was clearly practiced here, as all adults were regarded as parents of all the children on the street, who could and often did reprimand us with the full blessing of our own parents. Although each family practiced their own religious beliefs fervently, it was an eye-opener to see how people of such diverse religious persuasions could live so harmoniously. There was a deep-seated respect for each other's religious belief, and the individual religious celebrations were celebrated by everybody on the street. Christmas, Eid, Easter, confirmation ceremonies and celebrations were the highlight on the calendar of everybody. Van Ryneveld Street gave us an identity, but now Ryneveld Street is a Van Ryneveld Street is a constant reminder of the injustice we were made to suffer. Adding insult to injury, they even changed the name of the street to Ryneveld Street, as if to erase any memory of people who had lived there. Van Ryneveld Street was a street where legends were born, where I spent the most joyous part of my life. For children growing up these days, it seems that forced removals were only executed in District 6 because our pain and shattered dreams were never told to the world, as the event in District 6 were. It seems we are very selective when it comes to recording our past, and we seem to romanticize the past. Children these days would think that the scholars of those years were helping old ladies across the street rather than robbing them. The process, forced removals, started in 1962 with the municipal officials putting up notices and posters on lampposts to inform the community of Die Vlakte that they were going to be moved to a colored area. Our parents were never informed about the move, and they only told us about the move during supper one evening. They could not tell us when or where we were to be moved to. I was only 15 at that time and did not pay too much attention to the devastating news. The Kannemeyer family was the first family to move off the street. They had acquired a house in Ida's Valley and would move there instead of being relocated to Cluttersdal. They used a horse-drawn cart of a walker to move their belongings, and they had to make about 6 trips to complete the move. My family received a notice to move in 1969. We were informed that we would move to a house in Longstreet, Cluttersville, and we were given 3 weeks to vacate our house in Van Ryneveld Street and move into the dwelling in Long Street. The reality of the situation finally hit us. We did not want to leave, but did not have any other choice. I still remember the heartache, the pain, bewilderment, fear of the unknown future, and frustration that the notice to vacate caused in my family. We had hired a lorry to transport our belongings to the new dwelling, and we had to make 3 trips to and fro to get everything moved. On arrival there, we found that although the house was on a fairly large plot of land, the house was too small for our family, and that our furniture would never fit into that small space. The house we were allocated consisted of a lounge, a kitchen, bathroom and toilet, and 2 bedrooms. We also had a new feature, electricity, something we didn't have at our old house. Obviously, the house was too small for us, and my brother, Monty, went to the municipal offices to request a bigger house. Fortunately, there were still houses available that had not been allocated, and we were able to move to a house in First Street. We were fortunate that my mother was allowed to choose the house she wanted. She chose a house where she knew the neighbors on both sides of us, and we moved to 6 First Street within the next week. The house where my younger brother is still staying in today. We were very excited about the fact that we now had the convenience of electricity. This means hot baths at any time, instant hot water by boiling a kettle, hot meals at any time, a fridge to keep fresh produce, refrigerated and fresh etc. But this came at a cost because we had to go buy all these appliances to suit our needs. Although the houses had electricity, the street lights were not yet connected to the grid, which means that the area was very dark at night. We could not move around in the area at night because so many families from different areas were moved to Klutizulu, and it was a risk to walk at night because we didn't know some of the new arrivals. We could also not play under the street lights like we used to do in the Vlakte, and a part of that community spirit and culture was lost forever. The gangs and bands of teenage delinquents slowly started to form because there is a strength in numbers. Transport became a problem. We were used to be within walking distance of all the necessary amenities. But we were now on the outer boundaries of the town, and we need transport for everything we wanted to do. Going to school, going to church, going to hospital, going shopping were all trips that we now either had to hire private transport or use the public transport. The bus routes had not been established to and from Klutizulu to Klutizulu, and the service was really appalling. There were no regular bus stops, and we had to walk far distances to catch a bus. At that time, there were no formal public taxi service, and one had to hire a private taxi if you didn't want to use the public transport. There was no community activities and organization established in the area yet, so we all still belong to organizations that we had to travel to for meetings and matches. These transport costs was a huge blow to the budgets of people who had no or very little transport costs before. Getting to work was another problem because there were insufficient buses to transport people to the train stations early in the morning. We had to walk quite a distance to get to the stations on time, and had to negotiate dangerous routes and foul weather to get to and from work. It was only in 1974, 1975 that life became more palatable in Klutizulu. The name had changed to Klutizulu by then. Street lights were working in the area, the formal taxi service was emerging. We had started our own sport and cultural organizations, and we had come to know the foreign communities which had also been moved to Clutisville. Our resilience had made us adapt to circumstances in Clutisville. Over the years, we had become familiar with all the areas in Clutisville, the people on our street, and we were starting to establish a bond amongst the community. This reminds me of my days on Van Ryneveld Street. We had the University of Stellenbosch at our back door and used to play sport here on the green lawns, which is now known as the Red Plane, until the security guards would chase us away. Although many of our communities were employees of the University of Stellenbosch, we were not allowed to study at the university. My late brother Monty is an example of this policy. He was an employee at the Carnegie Library. Was well liked by most students and known for his dancing and acting skills, and had to travel to Belleville after work to complete his studies in social work at the UWC. By the time of his death in 2007, his age was 63, he was employed as a social worker, having completed his honors degrees and working towards his master's degree. This is but one instance of the injustice which we had to suffer because of the inhuman apartheid laws. I still see red when I reflect on my time in Die Vlakte. When we went to the voting polls to vote for the first time in 1994, and Nelson Mandela subsequently became the first black president, I believe that apartheid was dead. It is now almost 30 years later, and I now realize that apartheid is still alive and well, albeit in a different form. Although I have forgiven those who have perpetrated those injustices against us and inflicted those hardships on us, I cannot erase or forget the past. I hope you will gain some insight into how it was during the time of the removals, forced removals, and I would love to show you a video of a reunion that the people of Van Ryneveld Street had, if we have the time to do so. I thank you for listening.
Thank you, Meneer. I think we will probably run out of time, but I'll start with the video and see how far we can get with that.
today, I'm so excited about it. Today is the reunion of our Van Renneveld Street and all the people that you see here. They're just excited as I am. Today, they will meet their old friends and families whom they didn't see for about 15 to 20 years. And on top of that, we're going to march into Van Renneveld Street where we're going to pose in front of the old houses. And there we will take all the pictures and you will see, I will see the emotions of the people today.
All the people that we sustain in this area in the Vlakte, we have to relocate, we have to move. People and all that, you know. It was quite hard. We have time, you know, but that was some legislation that was the government, you know, instituted that. People of other colour, you know, you were not white, you were supposed to be staying down really that whole thing, you know. I mean, like you were telling us just what happened to what, you know, and the people had to just move out of you.
Heartbreaking, yeah. You know.